On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we are taking a deep dive into the Broncos defense as of recent and seeing if Dre Greenlaw is going to be the fix to Vance Joseph's defense. Plus, we're taking a look at the Chargers. What's the key to beating them? And finally, we're having our guy Brian Baldinger on to break down the Broncos' previous game and look ahead to the Chargers. It all starts now. The green light for Greenlaw. Maybe Dre will be back this week, and the Broncos desperately need him. We're going to break it down on the DNVR Broncos podcast, presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365. Place a $5 bet, deposit $10, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets when you can use it. And of course, we are in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. Make sure to check them out if you need a car. And we are the DNVR Broncos podcast. Ryan Koenigsberg, Henry Chisholm. We got you here behind the camera, and Zac Stevens rocking and rolling with you today, fellas. We got a big show, so let's just dive right into this. So after the Colts game, I was sitting in the press box with our friend Andrew Mason, and he kind of brought up a concerning trend to me, and I was like, I had no idea about that with the Broncos defense. So I went and did a deep dive on it yesterday, and 1, I was shocked. 2, I was deeply concerned. 3, I was hoping that Dre Greenlaw can be the fix to this. So I want to present this to you guys. See, 1, if you were as surprised as I was. 2, how concerned you are about this. And then 3, ask you how much of a fix Dre Greenlaw can be for this issue. But first, how are you guys doing?
I want to know the stat.
Okay, yeah. Good. We're just diving right in. So here we go. We all know, and I might have said more than anyone, the Broncos had third best defense in the NFL last year. But what I didn't realize was how it trended towards the end of the year and how it's trending right now as well. So from week 13 on, that was the Browns game. We know that was Jameis Winston, the Jerry Jeudy game, through this past Colts game as well. The only game that I'm going to take out is week 18 when the Chiefs voluntarily did not play their starters because
they had already clinched.
Feel like that's fair game to take out. So every other game is included. This includes the Titans game this year, includes the Colts, and includes week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then the wild card game against the Bills as well. In that stretch, almost half a season, that's 7 games worth, the Broncos have allowed 25.9 points per game and 402.6 yards per game. Comparing to last season's statistics in the NFL, that 25.9 points per game will be the 4th most in the NFL, only behind the Panthers, or only better than the Panthers, Cowboys, and Titans. The 402.6 yards per game that they've given up in that 7-game stretch would be 2nd worst in the NFL last year, only behind the Panthers, only 2 yards better than the Panthers. And to me, I thought this was an elite defense. In the past 7 games, it's been far from elite. Then you take a deep dive, and the pass defense has given up 273 yards in that stretch. That would be the worst in the NFL compared to last year's numbers. And the run defense was better, 129 yards per game in that stretch, which would be just about midway in the NFL. So about an average run defense last year. I had no idea that the defense kind of fell off that bad at the end of last year and was off to a shaky start this year, even with a good game against the Titans thrown in there. Are you guys as surprised?
Surprised isn't the word I would use, because as you were kind of describing, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Sounds right. Yes. Like the defense wasn't good in these games as I'm thinking about them. You know, they weren't good against the Bills, and they obviously weren't good against the Browns. Not great against the Bengals. So it's adding up to me. My thing is, I don't know how much stock I put into wraparound stats. Like, it's a different team out there this year. You're going to have different stuff that you're throwing out there. And the team that was out there for the end of the season last year was a team that was dealing with a lot of injuries, notably Riley Moss. I think that made a massive impact. Obviously, we saw it the most in the Browns game, but that kind of spilled over into the next few games, even after Levi Wallace was off the field. And then even when he came back, he certainly wasn't 100%. So, he wasn't able to give the defense his best. I'm sure there were some other injuries that I'm not thinking of right now that were impacting the team at that time. But if you don't stay healthy, I would bet most teams' defenses start to go downhill at the end of a season because they're just losing guys. With that being said, when I look at what I saw last week in a vacuum, that's more concerning than anything that happened in week 14 of last year to me.
But that is why last week, it's like after week 1, everything was dandy. The Broncos had the number 1 defense in the NFL in terms of yards given up, only 133 yards against the Titans. And then I see what happened last week, and it does give me the flashbacks to the end of last season and some of those games where teams were putting up over 30 points. The backup in Cleveland, Jameis Winston, was putting up 500 yards of total offense against the Broncos, and that kind of set off some red flags for me again. Like, oh no, this isn't just last year. We just saw it against Daniel Jones. Looked great. It's still Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I do think though we have to put ourselves in the shoes that we were in at the time, which is, Riley Moss was gone, so we just kind of throw it out. The Browns game in particular, that's when they had Levi Wallace out there for the first time. He got torched. He was off the team shortly thereafter. And so, like, you go through and say the pass defense in particular in those games, and the one team that ran on was the Colts. They're the Colts. That's its own trend that we've seen, is that the Colts run on the Broncos.
Jonathan Taylor just kind of owns us.
Totally. And even then, like, he ran for... or the Colts ran for 149 in that game. It wasn't like it was this week where Jonathan Taylor himself has 165.
Yeah.
I go back and say, he gave up 32 to the Browns. And at the time, we weren't worried because we said, there's no Riley Moss. They just really botched the second corner. You look at the Colts game, gave up 13. That's no big deal, obviously. Chargers game, you give up 34. But again, like, you're without that second corner. You do get torched. But at the time, we're saying you don't have Riley. Then Riley comes back.
I don't remember that game.
That was Thursday
night. It was in
night.
Los Angeles. It was where we had the fair catch free kick at the end of the first half.
I think I've disassociated.
Where there was a bad penalty by Traymon Smith, which allowed them to have that, where there's no defense on the field.
How many
wide
points did
open
we
field
score?
Goal. 30. 27.
24.
Plus 23. No, it was 27. 20, it was 34-27. Against the Chargers.
Are you sure? Okay.
I'm 100% sure.
Sorry, there we go. I was looking at Bengals. There we go. But yeah, so 27-34. It's the next one. 24-30, the Bengals. That's one where Riley gets torched. That's also, they get to 30 in overtime. And so it was 24-24 in regulation. So there's a bunch of those where I think we kind of grappled with it last year. So without Riley Moss, there's an issue. And when Riley was banged up, the Bengals got him.
I did the exact same thing. And when I was thinking of this, like, well, okay, you get an excuse because of the Browns. Colts, you hold them to 13 points. This is included in that stretch as well, though. That data is included. The Chargers, 34 points. I don't know. Maybe you can say the Riley Moss excuse. The Bengals, Riley Moss's first game back. You can give him the excuse there. The Bills, they gave up 31 points. Didn't look good against the pass or the ground game. And then, obviously, good against the Titans. But then this Colts team... when I went through that and I just kept giving excuses, I was like, I just can't. How long can we continue to give them excuses? If they go out and give up 34 points this week, okay, Riley Moss and Pat Surtain didn't have good games this past week. Are we writing that off as an excuse? Is it a trend? I clearly don't think it's a trend with either of those two. Certainly not with Pat Surtain. If it happens again this week, is there another excuse? And that's why it's concerning to me.
I don't have an excuse for last week.
And then there you go. And that's kind of what made me like tie it back to last year a little bit. So maybe you guys are easing me off a little bit. I am just a little worried about using excuses too much, but I was just shocked because this is a great defense. And when I look at them last year, overall, third best defense in the NFL. When I look at them on paper, I'm like, They got it all. I mean, they were third best defense in the NFL last year, added 2 dogs. Obviously, we've only been able to see 1 this year. Plus, you get Alex Singleton back. And now I just wonder, is Dre Greenlaw that big of a fix? And I don't say that in a negative way. I think he can be, because the Broncos, Jonathan Taylor ran for 165 yards on him.
Yeah.
I think Dre Greenlaw is going to be huge on the ground in the run defense. And I also think he's going to be huge in the pass defense, where the Colts really tried to attack the Broncos. Wasn't just the inside linebacker position. Obviously, they went after that, but it was just a bunch of stuff in the middle of the field. They also did that with the safeties. And I think Dre Greenlaw is just, he's that big of a difference here. Yeah. And I think we've really saw it last week, just how much he truly matters in this defense to take him over the top. And I think it's very clear now, at least in my mind, how desperately they need him.
Before I get to the Greenlaw part of this, I just want to mention one thing that I think could be impacting why the defense has not been good for whatever it is, half a season now?
Yeah, seven games is a stretch.
7-game stretch. I think maybe we're being a little predictable. And if you watch the way the Colts called the game on 3rd down, they knew they were getting man. They knew they were confident they were getting pressure. And they just called really good man beaters. And they worked. And Daniel Jones was not afraid to throw the ball into tight windows, challenge the Broncos secondary, and just kept delivering great passes. Now, is everyone going to be able to be that accurate in under pressure? Probably not. But I do think we need to start mixing up our looks and not be so... When you're that predictable, it's just easy to scheme throughout the week on what you're going to do on big downs, because you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm. And I just give a bunch of credit to the Colts. I think the tough part for them in that game is that the Colts are just really good at running the football. Like, you get to play Chargers this week. They are no threat in the ground game. Like, they haven't had a good rushing attack in a decade. And so I think so much of it was just the Broncos could not stop them running the ball. And we've seen that a couple times. We saw it against the Ravens last year. That was an issue. And I think the fact that you don't, like, you get the Chargers this week, you get the Bengals the week after, you're going to have to deal with it with the Eagles after that. And you're going to need some sort of answer there. But to me, I come away from that Colts game obviously disappointed in the defense, but also just really impressed that they just refuse to miss a throw. Somehow every single ball is right on the money. Every single catch is made. They don't have drops. The run game is so well put together. You throw in a couple broken tackles and it looks like that. I don't think that there are big systemic problems with the Broncos defense. I just think they got outplayed and got outcoached last week.
Well, and I should note that the 2015 Broncos ran damn near the same play every time. And
True.
It just didn't matter because they were so talented.
Mm-hmm.
So you can overcome that. There are some teams that are just so good on the defensive side of the ball, personnel-wise, that they don't have to change up what they're doing. I think last week was a pretty good wake-up call that this defense isn't up to par with that defense. Now, you add in Dre Greenlaw, who is, to me, maybe the most exciting offseason addition. We haven't got to see him yet. It could add a real different edge to this. And then I have a question for you guys on the linebackers. I'm not trying to push you one way or the other. Do you give any slack to Alex Singleton for playing with a broken hand?
It's a good question. I think what people look at and that when they see that game from Alex and Justin was just bad angles taken. And that isn't due to a broken hand. Now, I'm sure it would help him, but just not in like the very concerning areas.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it show up. Like, I don't think that there were any tackles he would have made or anything like that. To me, the concern is just like the physicality taking on blocks. Typically,
that's the thing that your hand would affect.
Totally.
Potentially. I guess that's true. That's true.
If you're taking on blocks, the first thing you want to do is get up and shed. If you don't have one of your hands, how can you do that?
Right. That's fair.
Very fair point.
And I think generally when we see Alex at his best, it's either you've got 5 guys in front of him, they're all attacking lanes, and it means that he's just kind of like roving behind them, kind of cleaning things up. Or it's when you have like a Josie Jewell just firing downhill and eliminating one run lane, which filters things the other way. It's just when you have two guys who I think their range and length and athleticism plays up. You see them kind of floating on the second level, and it just created more creases. There wasn't as much downhill. But then as soon as you saw them attacking downhill at the end of the game, the run defense looked awesome.
I think what's really, really going to help is having Dre Greenlaw back. That's going to not just help one position. I think that's really going to help Alex as well. And Vance is really going to be able to play to that strength.
And I think it should be noted that the linebackers played pretty damn good in week 1.
Right.
They did.
You know, it's just, we just saw a really concerning performance from the defense. And so things are a little heightened.
Totally.
We only have 2 games of sample size yet, so obviously the negative one and the more recent one is going to weigh more heavily in our minds.
Do you guys? I have.
And by the way, really quick, I think that 90% of the league's fan bases think that their linebackers suck.
Oh yeah,
That's 100% true. Pretty much outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there might be a couple more. I mean, it's not coming to mind immediately, but it's just like offensive line, where it's just like the job is very difficult. And, you know, asking a linebacker to be able to be a great against the run and great against the pass is just incredibly difficult. It's just like tight end. You know, they're kind of like 1-for-1 opposites. Having tight ends who are great run blockers and great pass catchers, there's like a couple in the entire league. And I feel the same way about linebackers. So linebackers are a very big, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they take a lot of blame from the fan base.
Okay, and really quick.
Okay. Then we can get back into it.
We got to hit a break really quick. But before we hit the break, I want you in the Toyota chat. Let me know who you think leads the Broncos in sacks this year. Fun little trivia. I'll give you the answer. I want to get your guys' opinion too. Don't look it up. Don't cheat.
Okay.
Just who do you think leads the Broncos in sacks right now? And we do have some good news on Dre Greenlaw, and I want to tell you about it after I give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, where if you are going to go to a sporting event, you got to check out our friends over at Game Time, especially if you weren't able to get them on the open market right away or the first market, the secondary market. Game Time's the best place to go without a doubt. As Ryan says, it's the only ticketing app he has on his phone. It's the exact same thing with me. Whether you're going with concerts, whether you're going to sporting events, Game Time is the place to go. Broncos back at home next week against the Bengals. Monday Night Football. Game Time is the best place to go for that. And I believe tickets are falling a little bit with Joe Burrow's injury. So Game Time, use the code DNVR over at Game Time to get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code DNVR to get $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today, whether you're going to the Buffs game in Boulder this weekend or the Broncos game in Denver the following Monday night. Game Time.
Used it last night.
Nice. Shout out to Bet365 as well. If you're trying to get tickets to anything, or sorry, not tickets. If you're trying to make bets on anything, yesterday, the Rockies nearly had an awesome comeback after the rain delay against the Marlins. I didn't make the bet. I think they were down 6-0 at one point. Lost 6-5 with runners on first and third, and it was a heartbreaker, but they almost pulled it off. If they did, you would have gotten the early payout because of the 5-run lead, and potentially the Rockies could come back and hit both sides of that one. They have the same deal for NFL and college football games. If a team goes up by 17 points, you get the instant payout. That happened 4 times last year, that both sides of the money lines paid out in the NFL because a team ups by 17 and then loss of both sides hit. Bet365 is where we go. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers can now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
And I want to give a shout out to everyone tuning in with us in the Toyota chat right now. And also a shout out to the people that tune into the chat below. If they're listening after the fact, I want to give a shout out to Rob Blocker, who was in there after yesterday's show, giving us a lot of love. We appreciate you, Rod. We appreciate everyone that's tuning on live in the Toyota chat and after the fact as well. And speaking of shout outs, big shout out to Big Brothers Big Sisters. September is Big Brothers. No, September. We're in September right now. Is Big Brothers Big Sisters month. That's why we are giving back to Big Brothers Big Sisters. And you can donate to give back to them as well, just straight on this YouTube page. You hit the donate button, and when you do that, make sure to also jump in the Twitter chat so we can give you some love for doing that as well. Okay, guys, so cool little stats here. Nick Bonito leads the NFL in pressures. He has 15 through 2 weeks. Zach Allen leads the NFL in quarterback hits, not from interior defensive linemen, from anyone, with 8 through 2 weeks. Who leads the team in sacks?
Justin Sternad.
Yes, isn't that's wild. That was a little fact that I just realized yesterday that kind of blew my mind too.
What does he have?
2, 1 in each game. On pace for 17 from an inside linebacker spot.
He's great at that.
He is.
Yeah.
Just waiting, coming downhill through the open area when he comes on a little delayed blitz.
And he's very fast. That's the other piece of it.
He also has, speaking of very fast, he has the second fastest sack in the NFL through 2 weeks as well. He got to the quarterback.
Delay on that one.
Exactly. He got to the quarterback in 2.48 seconds.
Yep. Going back to linebackers, though, the reason it's so tough is because you can't scout them. And Sean Payton has talked about this. There are very few teams in college that run just like traditional like NFL type linebackers. And even then it isn't as mentally intensive. The guys who are really good athletes don't play in those spots, which is why you see a bunch of players get drafted like Nick Bonito, like Drew Sanders, like Baron Browning, who are all coming from that kind of hybrid spot because that's where you put your athletes. And what you want in the NFL, a guy who can cover, is going to be a good enough athlete that teams aren't just lining him up and sending him in the A gap every time in college. And then you get into all the mentally intensive stuff that goes from there. And so it's really hard to draft linebackers. First round linebackers don't hit at the rate that first round, receivers hit at or tackles hit at or any of those, which people get upset when you don't draft a linebacker high for a decade like the Broncos haven't. But that's why, because the hit rate isn't there because there's so much guessing and so much projecting. And
the good news is the Broncos do have a stud on their team, just hasn't been able to play in Dre Greenlaw. And the good news is he practiced for the first time in 2 weeks at the end of last week. Now, it wasn't enough for him to play against the Colts, and maybe that would have been a big difference maker, but I would expect him to continue to ramp up this week in practice. We'll get a better idea during the Broncos practice later today and give you that news tomorrow. But I do expect him to trend in the right direction. I'm touching wood because we've seen him have setbacks in the past. Just a couple of weeks ago, he had a setback. But if he does not have a setback, guys, it is very realistic that he could play this week against the Chargers, which is huge because the Chargers are a really, really competent offense.
Yeah, and if he doesn't play this week, we're left to wonder why he didn't go on IR.
100%.
Because you could have had an extra roster spot over the last 4 games.
And that also makes you think that the Broncos are betting that he's going to play this week. And if not this week, then certainly in week 4, because when you're placed on IR, you have to miss 4 games. And you'd expect that they didn't place him on IR because they thought he would be back before then. So we're going to have our eyes out on that. But guys, speaking of the Chargers, let's get an early look. You have something else really quick,
I have
Ryan?
one really quick thing.
Yeah.
And it's not the last person who said it in the comments, but I've been seeing this a lot. People are like, why don't you guys just ask Todd what's going on? I'm like, I feel like people haven't had friends before. Like, like your friend's team at work does bad on a project. You're not texting them and being like, what went wrong, dude? What's going on? Well, I want to talk about it on my podcast. We're not gonna just berate Todd for answers on what's going on at the linebacker room all day. We gotta respect him, give him his space, let him do his thing.
It would be awesome to have him on.
You know how annoying that would be for him?
Yeah, exactly.
Very annoying.
I don't want to get blocked by our guy Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's dive into the Chargers team. And Henry, what have you seen from the Chargers in the first 2 weeks? What type of team are the Broncos playing on Sunday?
It's a tough one. So I should start by saying I haven't had a chance to go back through in detail, but they played 2 primetime games, so I watched the 2 primetime games like everybody else. They have a really good passing attack. That's what they have. They can spread you out. They're hitting a bunch of different guys. Quentin Johnston's good now. There's this myth with the Chargers that because they have Jim Harbaugh, they're good at running the football. They were terrible running the football last year. They're terrible running the football right now. They're at 3.8 yards per carry.
Omarion Hampton has not flashed whatsoever.
He is not.
Yeah.
This podcast has been right about him. Now, what I will say is last year, I do feel like Harbaugh, even though they weren't great at running the football, Harbaugh just kept running it,
Yes.
and he really did take a lot of pressure off of Justin Herbert last year. So they were a run-first team, but they weren't a great offense. And then the playoffs come around, and they kind of unleash Justin Herbert, and he throws 4 picks? Was it 3 picks? 4 picks?
4.
4 picks in that game. I thought Harbaugh was going to pull the reins back on him even more this year after that, and he's actually done the opposite. He has just fully leaned in to Justin Herbert, and like you said, Henry, their run game on offense, they've invested so much in it. They went out and got Najee Harris. They went out and used a first-round pick on Omari and Hampton. They went out and got big boys on the offensive line. Guys, I think their offensive line, their average weight is like 330 or something. Their offensive line is huge. So I thought they were just going to lean into that. No, they've really gone Justin Herbert. In fact, wasn't Herbert the leading rusher for them this past week?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, they haven't abandoned the run. Like, they still do run at a higher rate than most teams. It's just that they're not good at it. And while they did invest in the offensive line, you also lose your all-pro tackle to an injury, like your very best offensive lineman, and Slater.
Build everything off of him.
Exactly. And so then you flip Alt to the left side, so your run side isn't as strong as it was before. While you made the investments in the offensive line, you also brought back Keenan Allen. And as much as in the offseason we can all say, oh, Keenan Allen's old, it means nothing. Turns out he's actually just a really good player, and it was the Bears who were the problem. Because now Ladd McConkey's your number 3 receiver in terms of just yardage and production and all that. So you have Quentin Johnston, who's leading the way, former first-round pick, and turns out being big and fast and all that is kind of started to come together. Leads the NFL in receiving touchdowns at the moment. Keenan Allen has 129 yards on 12 catches through 2 games. So like you're just finding all these guys who are good receivers, and it's no longer like I thought all offseason that the run game is going to be the run game. They're going to commit to it. It's not going to be great, but you're going to have Ladd McConkey, and that's it in the passing game, and you go by what he does. Turns out you have 2 more really good weapons out there.
Yeah, and it makes the Broncos' decision on how they're going to match up kind of interesting this week. I don't really think you travel Pat.
I agree.
Yeah.
Which also allows the Chargers to dictate their matchups that they want.
Yeah, totally. The good thing is, though, last week, Tyler Warren, sometimes the Broncos put Pat on Tyler Warren, and maybe that messed up some communication in the secondary. They don't really have a threat at the tight end position. I mean, Tyler Conklin is their number 1 tight end, and he's good,
He's a deserving starter.
But I mean, it's not a Tyler Warren sort of thing. So you get to play more traditional defense and worry about your wide receiver or your corners going up against wide receivers there.
Totally. It's been interesting to watch them kind of just go all in on Justin Herbert, because last year I was kind of like, what's the point of even having Justin Herbert if you're just going to try to run the ball unsuccessfully all game? Now I think they realize that.
Yep.
And they're leaning into, letting him sling it a little bit. You know what the Broncos need this weekend?
What's
and
that?
It's right there available for them. Justin Simmons, 1-game contract. Justin Simmons owes Justin Herbert.
Wow.
I think he has more picks off of Justin Herbert than any other player in the league.
Man, and Justin and he also has that with Patrick Mahomes.
That's true.
He's just a division slayer.
Bring him back. One game contract.
I like that. I would, man, that would be fun. So when it comes to their running game, because I saw some people saying the Chargers actually run at a high rate. No, they're about average. They have the 15th most rushing attempts in the NFL here. But
23rd in pass attempts.
But
so there's a tick.
But it's 16 of their 51 rushing attempts have come from Justin Herbert. So they're also not afraid to say, Justin, we're drawing up this run for you. And Justin, if it's not there, take off. You don't have to be a pocket passer. Justin, similar to Bo, is a good runner on design plays, on just scramble plays as well. So you have to watch out for him because, guys, he has 9 fewer rushing yards, Justin Herbert, than Omari and Hampton. That speaks to how much of a threat Justin is and also how much Hampton's struggling right there. I mean, Hampton's running for 3.1 yards per carry right now.
Yeah.
And he had a fumble at the end in the fourth quarter this past game as well.
That was crazy play by Max Crosby.
He was there so fast.
Yeah.
He's a scary guy.
He is. He is. I mean, the Raiders have a couple scary guys, and then that's it.
Yeah. I kind of like to see the Broncos play a little bit of ball control this week. The Colts game, it kind of felt like they were like willing to get into a shootout. They're like, sure, let's do this. Let's dance. Don't do that this week.
Yep.
You like that Chargers offense is potent. and very difficult to defend. And you are running the ball so successfully. Now, Chargers defense is probably going to be the best one you faced so far, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to run the ball. But I would love to see the Broncos just like line up under center, bring the fullback out there, run power, get 4 yards, do it again on second down, get 4 yards, do it again on third down, get 4 yards, and just like keep the ball in your hands. Go string together some 8-9 minute drives. I'd be curious to see the length of drives that the Broncos have had on their touchdown drives this year. It feels like it's very quick, which is great at times. Not when you're playing, honestly, Herbert or Mahomes in the division.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And when it comes to the Chargers, their average drive is the 5th longest in the NFL, yet their opponent's average drive is the 4th longest in the NFL. So they're allowing teams to get 3 yards at a time, 4 yards at a time. They just don't allow chunk plays. Let's continue to dive in on the Chargers with our guy, Brian Baldinger, and let's give a shout out to our friends over at and Credit Union. First, where my older brother had a Broncos debit card when I was growing up, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, I want one of those when I grow up. That's what I want. And you can get it over at Ent right now. I never knew how you could get it. Now it's just by checking out our friends over at Ent Credit Union. If you want to bank like a Bronco, they have it set up just for you, where not only do you get a Broncos debit card, but you also get 10% off food and gear on game days at Empower Field at Mile High. And you get the chance to win tickets to a Broncos home game simply by paying with your Broncos checking debit card. Every 15 swipes earns you another chance to win. So if you're going to be paying for stuff, which everyone is, you might as well just use this to get a chance to get tickets. If you're going to be going to games, might as well get 10% off by using this card. And so if you want to bake like a Bronco, go to ent.com/DNVR. That's ent.com/DNVR and sign up for Broncos checking today. Ent Credit Union is insured by NCUA. Membership required. APY account requires associated Ent Broncos debit card.
When I was a kid, my older brother had a Coors Light. And I was like, man, I want one of those so bad.
When I grow up.
When I grow up, I'm getting one of those. Actually, I don't have an older brother, and that never happened. But I did go to a concert last night, a little Sturgill Simpson at Red Rocks.
What a name.
And it was great, especially because I had an ice cold Coors Light. Even when the rain started coming down, I was still like, at least I have this Coors Light, man. At least I have my emotional support beer with me. So, whether you're chilly or you're trying to get chill, doesn't matter. Coors Light always hits, especially at a concert. Man, a concert Coors Light and a football game Coors Light. Those are the peak, I think. And then you could also just get it delivered straight to your door, because there's a place here for a couch Coors Light.
Yes, there is.
And
yes.
You can have it delivered straight to your door by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado beer.
All right, and I want to give one more shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Place a $5 bet. After depositing $10, you can get $200 in bonus bets. And I heard the ring. That means we are joined by our guy, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, what's going on?
Well, it's hump day, in this world, and we're looking ahead to, this coming weekend. So I know it was disappointing last week for you guys. Disappointing finish, but anyways, I'm here to talk all about it, guys. So fire away.
All right, before we look ahead, let's look back, Baldy. Yep. And what did you think of that ending? Not just the field goal, but that fourth quarter, too. It really felt like, man, the Broncos had this game in the bag, had an opportunity to close out the Colts multiple times, and then we know how just drastically it ended for them.
Well, okay, so I charted this. Dobbins scored with 11:19 to go in the third quarter, all right, to give them 28-20, whatever it was. That's the last time they scored, and so, they punted, they had an interception, they missed a field goal, etc. I mean, that was a really disappointing finish. It was a great start, obviously, right down the field. Troy Franklin was a monster in the game. He's really emerging, but that's disappointing, I think, that, the final 26 minutes of the game, they couldn't score a point. And to me, you could talk about, the leverage play by Tillman, and he's a young kid, and whether he did it, he didn't do it, whether he should have called it or not. Do you want it to come down to a kick? Because, the Giants saw that 64 yards in this league, you can lose a game because of it. you don't want it to come down to a kick. And that's what it did. They allowed it to come down to that kick. You can argue the call, but I think that they should have taken care of business before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so tough to look at that. Am I naive for thinking that the Broncos defense could have looked a lot better if they just avoided the penalties? You know, they start with the first drive, there's the roughing the passer, free 15 yards to start the drive, Nick Bonito. Second drive, they get the incompletion on first down, but they call the pass interference kind of on Pat Surtain away from the ball. And you wind up with a whole bunch of penalties throughout this game. And I feel like those early penalties kind of set the tone and just made the start easier to get the Colts in the rhythm.
No question. I mean, you're getting, free first downs, all that kind of stuff. I thought one thing that I looked at that was really interesting to me is the average starting field position for Denver was the 38-yard line, and Indianapolis is 22. Usually, if you have that much of a disparity in starting field position, you don't lose a game. And so the penalty certainly hurt them. It allowed Indianapolis to get in a better position. But, one of the things I thought was interesting was Indianapolis, and maybe Indiana Jones, maybe this is the next reclamation project in this league, but they went after Patrick Surtain with everybody, whether it was Ty Warren, they did not. A lot of teams are like, okay, that's the defensive player of the year. Like he's going to throw a blanket over this guy. I'll go someplace else, and they didn't. They went after him. I saw a bunch of plays and some on third downs where they didn't shy away about going after Surtain in that game.
Baldy, the Broncos are now, I believe, 1-7 in their last 8 one-score games. And it feels like a lot of these games are having similar trends at the end with mental errors, penalties, things of that nature. What do you think causes a team to kind of like lose their head in the fourth quarter of football games, and how can the Broncos get past this?
Well, you can even go back to last week's game against Tennessee. And, here's Cam Ward coming down the field. Now, the guys catch the ball. Ridley catches the ball, or, the tight end catches the ball. Like, who knows what would have happened? Now, they finished it out. But I would say that would be a pretty strong message in that building this week, is to finish. And I would say that's a word that's probably not thrown around very lightly, about putting teams away, because if you let anybody in this league hang around, the athletes are too good. A play here, play there. And so I think when you have a team down, you got to be able to put them away. They couldn't do it last week. They almost let Tennessee out. I would say that finishing is something that, and that's just staying locked in. You just can't have the errors. You can't have the penalties. You got to play clean, very clean games. And we haven't really seen that yet from them.
Yeah, no, Baldy, that's such a good point about finishing. A guy that the Broncos are really hope is going to start is Dre Greenlaw. He practiced at the end of last week. We still haven't seen him in a Broncos uniform on a field. But after watching the Broncos inside linebackers over the past few weeks and knowing what type of player Dre Greenlaw is, how much of a boost is he for the Broncos defense? Is it one that we're maybe overstating or understating?
Well, I don't know what Dre looks like right now. I don't know. I mean, when he was at his best in San Francisco, there was a time when him and Fred Warner, they had played more snaps together as an inside tandem of linebackers than anybody else in the league. I think they started either 5 or 6 years together in there. And so they played off each other so well. There could be a zone side, a man side. I mean, they really complemented one another really well. The one thing I'd say about Dre is when your inside linebacker is fast, it makes your whole defense look faster. And he has a speed element and a violent element to his game. Now, he's been penalized quite a bit for late hits on the sideline, those kind of things. But he brings a violence to the game that I think everybody covets in this business.
I'm curious what you think about the Chargers run game, because watching it these first couple weeks, you expect it to be really good because it's Jim Harbaugh and all that. But it really hasn't looked all that good, and the numbers aren't very good either.
The offense is evolving. This doesn't look like a Harbaugh offense.
Yeah.
I was just talking about with somebody else on another show. Like this, they went far with the Harbaugh mentality. Going back to Bo Schembechler, we're going to run the ball, we're going to punt, we're going to do these, we're going to kick field goals. Like they've opened this offense up. They've actually are throwing it 61 times. They run it 50. So they're actually throwing it more than they run it, which is a departure. And part of it is Justin Herbert running. Like, he's run the ball 18 times in 2 games. I think only Josh Allen has run it more at a quarterback position. So some of it are design runs. A lot of them are scrambles. And so, like, he's not back there right now just playing point guard. You have to account for Justin Herbert as a runner. But the passing game is so much better. McConkey really, came on last year. He's the same guy. He moves the sticks for him. But now Quentin Johnson, last year I thought he had hands like feet. Now he's catching everything. And then you got Keenan Allen back, and the rookie Trey Harris is going to be a player. So they've got real targets right now. And, if you looked at that game Monday night, if you stayed up late enough, the game got broken open on a 60-yard touchdown pass to Quentin Johnson. Yep. And that was against a Mack blitz, and they picked it up, and Herbert stepped to his left and let it go. And so the running game isn't as good, but I think part of it is because, like, they are morphing into a really good passing team.
Baldy, who do you have winning the AFC West right now?
I saw Kansas City last week, and I think they have real issues. Now, I know it's only, it's only mid-September. There's a lot of time, but they can't find explosive plays in the offense. It was a problem last year. And then defensively, they're not exactly they're trying with all the blitz concepts they have to get into the quarterback. They're not affecting him very well 2 weeks in a row now. I think it's for the taking. I think Denver, the Chargers, I think anybody could take it right now the way the Chiefs look. Now, maybe Xavier Worthen coming back, Rashee Rice, maybe it will change, but they need a running back bad. And maybe this rookie Smith from SMU can give him some juice, but their run game doesn't look good, and the lack of explosive plays doesn't look good. In 2 games now, they've had 11 runs with a too high safety look. This is next level stats here, guys. But like too high safety look where you got to run them out of that. And they're averaging less than 4 yards a carry with those safeties back.
Wow.
Like, normally you get both safeties back, it's 1st and 10. You expect a 6 or 7 yard gash, and they're not doing it right now. So they've got real problems that they got to overcome.
Baldy, your analysis is always next level. Final question for you here. When you look at the AFC West, you mentioned how it's wide open right now. And crazy enough, I know it's early, but the winner of this Broncos-Chargers game is first in the AFC West after this coming week. So what's the key for the Broncos beating this Chargers offense and defense in this game?
Well, if you look at the Chargers defense last week, I mean, I haven't seen this stat in a long, long time. But Geno Smith dropped back 43 times. He had 19 incompletions. But they defended 15 passes, and they kept the Raiders out of the end zone. Like, the passing attack has to be pinpoint because they're in the passing lanes. They just are. Now, you're catching a break here this week, no Khalil Mack. Mm-hmm. So, their best pass rusher is off the field. Now, you don't rest easy because of that. There's other ways to get to the quarterback. But I feel like the passing game has to step up this week against this defense.
I love it. Awesome insight, Baldy. We appreciate talking to you, and we look forward to talking to you next week, maybe about a first-place Broncos team in the AFC West.
Maybe. All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Baldy. Okay, guys, got a question for you. Did I say something?
Yes, it was. I don't know why it was so funny to me, but you said, final question for you here, and it sounded like you were saying for you here.
I looked at Ryan and I was like, am I answering the question?
You both were laughing, and I was like, what?
I almost lost it. I don't know why that was hilarious.
I started looking at the Toyota chat, thinking there was something funny in there. Would you guys rather have feet as hands or hands as feet?
I would definitely rather have. Wait, do you swap? Like, so if I have hands as feet, then I have 2 pairs of hands.
Correct.
Still.
Yeah. Would you rather have 2 pairs of hands or 2 pairs of feet?
Yeah, let me go chimpanzee style here.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so.
I want the feet hands.
Well,
although I have got
really hard to
good
walk.
work with my toes.
Or maybe just get calloused just like your feet do.
But just the surface area.
Imagine.
I would
Maybe
hope
you
I
have
would
bigger
have
hands
more
than me.
flexibility than I do in my wrists currently because like I wouldn't really be able to
You'd have
stand.
to eventually. You'd have to work on it.
People walk with their feet. People can do handstands and walk.
People
Yeah,
do
but I
walk
never
with
look
their
at them
feet.
and think,
it's like
oh,
people
that
do
was
walk.
convenient.
I mean, with their
Walk
hands.
with their
Like
hands.
people can walk with their hands. Like
That's true.
That'd be so
You'd have to have
inconvenient.
hands. Imagine doing daily life with feet on your hands.
Imagine not being able to walk.
You would be able to walk.
You
bro.
think so? I don't think so.
You might crawl. but
Monkeys,
you'd be able to get around.
wheelchairs, things exist that you can use.
Yeah.
Imagine
I don't know.
You could
texting
get
with
some
your feet.
custom hand
Voice
rollerblades.
to text. You're just, especially
fair.
with AI and stuff, you could get away with it.
are
You
man.
couldn't play Xbox.
I'd like to watch you try to like press the button on your phone to activate voice text.
I'd like to watch you walk around on your hands all day.
People
You know what-
do it though.
You know
like,
what
it's
I
actually
would
not
like to watch you
conveniently.
guys do? I'd like to watch you eat Taco Bell with your feet.
Wow, that's
And that is a transition to
We
give
could
a
make a
shout out
video.
to our friend. We definitely could on Taco Tuesday. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. You got to check out our friends over at Taco Bell because we celebrate Taco Tuesday. But guys, it's almost Thursday, which means Taco Thursday, Wednesday, Hump Day, Taco Bell. And today I'm going to go a little off script because I just have to give a shout out to the Crunchwrap Supreme. Maybe, actually not maybe, the best item that you can get quickly. In fact, maybe just one of the best items of food there is out there, and Taco Bell has absolutely mastered it. Plus, they've got the Y2K menu. They're throwing it back to the early 2000s where you can get the caramel apple empanada, literally only perfect things that I've heard about the caramel apple empanada. And of course,
good.
the chili cheese burrito, 7-layer burrito, double-decker taco, all of those are $3 or less. And a cool thing about Taco Bell is their support and CU. You can get the Buffs box for $7, best value out there. And they are donating $1,000 to the Golden Buff Scholarship Foundation for every CU touchdown. So Sko Buffs and Liv Moss over at Taco Bell.
And shout out to Mack Weldon. They make life so easy. You know, I used to go and get, like, you could buy like those boxes where there's like 3 t-shirts inside. Like, oh, nice undershirts. And then you go home and try them on and you're like, oh, these are awful. Like either the sleeves are really short or like they don't fit everywhere or whatever.
Yeah.
Mack Weldon just makes good stuff. And so instead of going and buying every few months a couple of those boxes, you just go get some nice actual t-shirts that are made that fit well. And Mack Weldon is the best at it. Their tech linen line is awesome. They have different materials, different fits so that whatever you're shaped like, I guess is the way that I would put it. They have something for you. It's great stuff. Cool Max technology keeps you cool in the summer. It's breathable. You're dry, comfy, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested, you can go get breathable clothes that you can feel comfortable in all summer. Go to MackWeldon.com. Get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code DNVR. That's MackWeldon.com. Promo code DNVR. Go check them out.
Quentin in the Twitter chat, a former Taco Bell chef, says he remembers frying the caramel apple empanadas and said they're really good.
they're so good.
And
is-
fried.
And be like Cody. He says he obliterates the like button. That's what I'm talking about, Cody. Also a member of the Supporters Club. So shout out to Cody. Shout out to everyone who's a member of the Supporters Club. Remember to hit us with the thumbs up. That helps us a lot. We appreciate everyone. 5-star reviews as well. Leave your comments in the Twitter chat and below.
Henry, you're talking about undershirts.
Yes.
What's the point of those?
So, okay, there are a bunch of them. First of all, hoodie day, sometimes undershirt is nice. Occasion when you don't want to use like a shirt that you would normally wear out and get it dirty, or like especially like older stuff, every time you wash it, it feels like it gets worse. Those are undershirt situations. Sometimes, not always. Rockies game, baseball jersey over the top. That
one makes sense.
Jersey's
That's
one,
my
yep.
big undershirt situation. That's why I always get a bunch of t-shirts like in the spring right before, because I think like, oh, I'm gonna wear these all year, and that's where I've always run into issues because I get them home and I'm like, they're not good.
Okay.
But they come in
Never-
the boxes, so you don't try them on.
Never worn one.
Really, never.
When you're getting, when
Okay.
you're gonna know you're gonna get sweaty, it's good to have like a little extra layer so your actual shirt doesn't get sweaty as well.
I will say, like, sometimes a hoodie on bare skin is the best feeling you can have on a hoodie.
Interesting.
Wow.
It's not very soft.
But it's soft on the inside.
But I also don't want to get them all sweaty.
Yeah, and that's
Because
the
I
thing
guess
is,
hoodie fits in the category for me of like you get to wear it 2, sometimes even 3 times if it's just like for a podcast or something before you have to wash it.
yeah. So,
And that goes
but
away.
like, I wouldn't wear an undershirt. I would just wear a shirt that I don't plan on wearing on its own.
I do.
But that's like it's basically
Right.
an undershirt. But
Yeah.
I
It's
just
a work
wouldn't like
shirt.
I wouldn't have like a specific section of my closet that's like, okay, here's my undershirts. It's just like,
Okay.
oh, that shirt's like comfy.
My
and
closet
I
doesn't
don't
have
really
sections.
I don't really plan on wearing it anytime recently, so I'll wear it under this hoodie.
right.
Thoughts
Yeah.
go out to Daniel, who says, for those of us wearing dress shirts, often at work.
Yeah,
Our thoughts go out to him. We don't really have to
Even
do
when
that,
I did
thankfully.
that, I used to like dress up for the games and stuff.
Yeah.
Never wore an undershirt.
No.
Neither did I.
I agree. I'm not really an undershirt guy.
All right. Anyway.
So the good news for the Broncos is Dre Greenlaw might be back for this game. The other good news for the Broncos, and unfortunate news for the Chargers, but it's the reality we live in, Khalil Mack is not going to play this week. And I guess good news for the Chargers, the injury, if you guys saw that live, I know we talked about it yesterday off air, it looked, I thought his arm snapped in half. I think it's a dislocated elbow. The elbow just bent back weirdly. He's out, I think, 2 to 5 weeks is the time frame right now. So certainly going to miss this game. A nice break for the Broncos.
Yeah. Big one.
This is a guy that was second in the NFL in sacks last year. Trey Hendrickson, obviously number 1. Nick Bonito, number 3. The guy that was right in between there was Khalil Mack. He had 15 sacks last year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
He just like went to the Bears and wasn't that good, and then got away from there and was good again.
And I think we've seen it with the Broncos. Like when you're just consistently getting home quickly, all your corners get to like play up close to line of scrimmage. They get to jump things. They're right up on everybody. And that's what the Chargers were doing last week. Like you watch them against the Raiders, and like Baldy said, every pass that Geno throws, you're like, oh, there's a guy there. And part of me thought, every time Geno threw the ball, like, has he lost his mind? What is he doing? He seemed totally lost out there. And I'm not sure if that was the Chargers doing it to him, if he had a bad game, but the pass rush is definitely a part of that. And if you wind up getting in situations where you can drop back and sit there for a couple seconds, all of a sudden it opens up all of your receivers down the field. Similar to what we saw with the Broncos last week. As soon as the Colts were just like hitting him over and over again, you didn't feel like they could be as aggressive. All of a sudden, they're sitting back and there's all this space. So I think missing out on Khalil Mack is huge.
Yeah, it is huge. And against the Colts, guys, the Broncos didn't allow a single sack on Bo. They also didn't allow a single pressure on Bo. The offensive line was pretty darn good. And so the Chargers not having Khalil Mack, yeah, Ryan, you're kind of scratching your head in like disbelief that the Broncos lost the game.
Yes.
Yep.
In the press box, when I'm sitting there writing my story after the game, there were these 2 Colts guys that I kid you not, every 20 minutes were like, can you believe the Colts didn't have a pressure and they won the game?
Yep.
Because it is just like, how does that happen?
There's so many things that happened in that game where if you told me before the game this happens, I would say I guarantee a Broncos victory.
There were Again, you can go back and find 7-8 plays where that just goes differently. You win.
And that's why them not having Khalil Mack, man, Bo really, he should have a comfortable game in terms of like he should be able to have time back there because this Broncos pass protection has been great.
Yeah, I will say I got to give credit to both the Chargers and the Raiders. When I turned on that Monday night game after the one before it, so that was Bucks Texans.
Yeah.
I turned on the Chargers Raiders and I was like, these defenses are flying around compared to those defenses. Like they were hitting, it was physical. I think like the Chargers came out so physical that the Raiders are kind of like tentative the rest of the game. They're like, what is going on, man? What's wrong with these guys? So the Broncos have to be ready to like bring the juice, bring the energy, go out there and play. Honestly, with the word that Baldy used that I think is so important, violence.
Yeah.
Like the Chargers were playing with violence on Monday night. The Broncos have to match that and not get, intimidated by the way that team flies around.
And I'm still not used to hearing Chargers associated with like aggressive and violent. They're typically a soft team. And that's why they charger a lot. And I need to maybe get that out of my head, or the Broncos can just keep that up by being the more physical team in this game. But that is a staple of a Jim Harbaugh team, is just being physical. That's why the offensive line is so big. That's why the defense went from the worst in the NFL the year before Harbaugh got there to one of the best in the NFL last year. Statistically, it's still very early in the season, but they're like a top 10 unit. Not number 1, but they've also played... well, I guess the Raiders are fine, but they played against the Chiefs as well. So, and I think someone in the Twitter chat had a great point when Baldy was talking about this Chargers offense with Justin Herbert running a lot. Greg Roman's offense, like Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
That's the offense that he started the NFL in. Now he's with the Chargers and Justin Herbert, and that's kind of... Obviously, Justin's not as much of a runner, not the type of runner as Lamar, but that is something that's going to be a massive priority and emphasis for Vance Joseph this week. And another reason why having a fast, violent Dre Greenlaw would be so huge as a spy, just keeping Justin Herbert in the pocket.
Yeah. I would just give Greg Roman credit because he's proven to be something that we always beg for, which is adaptable to his personnel. Like he figured out how to make that offense great for Lamar. Now he's in a new place. It doesn't look anything like the offense for Lamar. There's some elements that are going to carry over and concepts that he likes, but he's basically created a whole new thing for Justin Herbert. One thing I will also say about that game on Monday night, stay away from Derwin James, man.
Yeah.
I felt like big down after big down. Geno Smith kept going after Derwin James. I'm like, look, you can maybe get away with this a couple times in the game on like a shot play or like whatever. Do not go at him on big downs. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, Genty got him on that one, which was fun.
That was crazy.
That was like
It was early
in the game. Yeah,
totally. And it didn't lead to all that much.
Was that the spin move?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
that was different than the one I was thinking of.
the other
one where he
weird
bowled someone over. Yeah.
the other weird number is just that nobody runs on the Chargers. Or I mean, it's the Chiefs obviously can't run the football, so of course they didn't. The Raiders kind of got played out of it quickly. But they've been run on 36 times and they've given up 5.4 yards per attempt. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. They got run on 36 times and it's 4.6 per attempt, which is a very high number. When teams have run on them, they've run the ball really well. And that's why I think it should be a J.K. Dobbins revenge game. Like you saw what he did to the Colts last week. I think that Colts run defense should be a lot better than the Chargers. The Chargers defense is built on all that speed with Derwin, and they bring in Dante Jackson. Like they're really fast back there. But if you just run right up the middle, I think you can make it work.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And just have a J.K. Dobbins revenge game in this one.
I can't believe that I'm sitting here in 2025, me especially, advocating for traditional running game.
Yeah.
Like usually I'm like, stop running the same old shit. Like change it up. No. The Broncos are really good at traditional run concepts.
Yep.
And you're kind of giving the Chargers credit. This is not the Ryan I know.
I know.
But you know what,
The Chargers
Ryan?
are still the Chargers. Don't get me
It's
wrong.
part
You
of
know what,
being
Ryan,
married.
though?
You just mature.
You're
you grow.
adaptable. Isn't that what we ask from play callers?
I am adaptable.
So we want podcasters to be adaptable.
Don't get me wrong. I still believe the Chargers are the Chargers.
Good.
And I have no belief in them to do anything significant ever.
So you know all the good things we said about Dre Greenlaw? I don't know if it's going to be as positive tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you're going to give us today?
That's all I can say.
The man has a track record
right now. So make sure to tune in with us tomorrow. You had something really quick, Henry?
Yeah, I'm just curious if this could be the week where Jade takes over. Because last 2 weeks he's just had that package. He's been the penny front guy. But with Ladd McConkey in the slot, you might want a little bit more speed there. So I wonder if this is when you start to consider it. Because I don't know how you cover these receivers, how you line up.
Yeah, it's a great point, and that's another challenge that Vance is going to have because these three receivers are legit. It just seems like you go to the Bears and you die, and then you leave the Bears and you're good again. That is what it looks like for Keenan Allen right now. Went to the Bears, seemed like his career was over, came back. He looks good right now.
Our poor friends at CSU.
I know. We talked to Adam Hogue yesterday. He's like, I think this was before the show, but I was like, oh, how you doing? It's another miserable start for the Bears. And he's like, oh, that's normal for us.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
We're used to bad vibes.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of good vibes, Willie Thomas chimes in with the super chat and says, I'm flying in for the Bengals game and want to go to my first DNVR event and the bar. Are you guys doing anything for the game that weekend? Of course we are, Willie. We're going to be having the tailgate. And man, a Monday night tailgate is going to hit different.
And you could do the bar and the tailgate all in one fell swoop.
I
One fell swoop.
thought it was foul swoop because it's like a bird.
I doubt it.
One foul.
Yeah.
Swooping. No, that makes sense.
I could be wrong, though.
It makes way more sense, honestly. Anyways, you can do it. You can kill two birds with one stone.
There you go.
Foul.
Yes.
By signing up for the bus from the bar. So you come to the bar, meet up here, have a couple drinks, hop on the bus, have the free drink on the bus on the way over to the tailgate, get to the tailgate, which is, of course, all-inclusive. Have yourself a game, have yourself a time, watch a Broncos win, get back on the bus, come back to the bar for the after party.
Right.
What a day.
And probably see us as we're finishing up the post-game show.
Right. Tailgate starts at 3. We do our pregame show there. tape it live at 4.
Yeah, you see us there too.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And especially you don't have to go to work on Tuesday if you're flying in for the game. So you can hang out as long as you want on Monday night.
I'm still thinking about one foul swoop.
Yeah.
It's finally the first time I've got something wrong where it makes sense. What is it though? Fell?
Fell.
One
Foul?
fell swoop.
Fell.
FELL. What does that mean?
It's an old phrase. Oh,
Coined by
Shakespeare. Wow.
Imagine coming up with a phrase that lasts that long. Like, what if people are saying, you know, Bell
That would be-
in the year
Yeah.
and they're-
25?
and
you
they're
know.
ringing it?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that like in 2035 people are using swoop like unironically.
There we
They're
go.
like, that's just so
Let's get
swoop,
Swoop
baby.
back up here. Today was a Swoop show. I appreciate you
Yes.
guys. Good news about the Broncos. I think they've got an advantage going into this game that I want to throw off you guys tomorrow. Plus, we're going to dive into Sean Payton's comments today about the game. We've got a big show tomorrow at noon on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We'll see you then.
God bless Bo Nix.
We all silly like the mayor.